Hey everybody, Josh here with Desert Gardens Homestead. So here we are near the end of January, and this is about the time of year when I go ahead and start pruning my fruit trees. For the most part, I like to try to keep all my trees with an open center and just try to maximize the amount of internal airflow and light visibility as possible. This jujube has been in the ground now for going on about 6 or 7 years. And when pruning fruit trees, the most important time to prune is when you first put them in the ground, when they're small. And that's really where you get the structure started from. And then every year thereafter, you're just more or less maintaining the structure. So it's kind of difficult to see here, but as you can see, I've got essentially 2 trees within one hole. And I do have a nice open center, but there are some branches. Take, for example, that one right there that's coming up on the rear, and it's going into the center of my open center. And so that's really the first thing that I look at with any fruit tree, is once I have the open center started, I just want to maintain that. So any branches that are going backwards into the open center, I want to prune out. The next item that I look for are any branches that are crossing, such as these. So I just want to make sure that all the branches have plenty of room and that I don't have any that are going over to another branch or crossing, such as this. Then the last thing I look for are any dead or diseased branches. This one's kind of hard to see, but it is a smaller dead branch. So I would just want to prune off anything dead. A couple of those that are coming off the trunk there appear to be dead as well. But if it's a healthy tree, you probably won't have many diseased or dead branches. But that would be the last thing that I would check on. Here's another example. This is a Florida Prince peach. This one's only been in the ground for about 3 years. It's a very vigorous variety. It's now reaching heights of about 7 feet tall. But as you can see, I have an excellent open center. So that was one of the very first things that I did. This thing was only maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall when I put it in the ground, but I essentially just chopped off the upper top and I just allowed the branches to come out. So when I chopped off the top, essentially these 4 branches emerged from the top, and then I just went ahead and I nurtured those 4 branches. And ideally for a productive fruit tree, you want between 3 to 5 branches, where 3 branches is actually ideal. And then from there, you would just nurture those out and continue to prune and modify as needed to achieve what you're looking for as far as the shape of the tree. But this is just a beautiful vase shape, and so I need to go ahead and start pruning this. These are actually sucker branches, and as you can see, it's a very vertical branch, and it's going right into the center of this tree. And there's another one right behind it there. So those are what I'm looking for to start with. Following this branch up, you can see some of these branches that are coming off the back end, and this branch here is actually wanting to go into this next branch here. So I'd probably go ahead and prune this off. Even though it's not crossing now, in maybe another year or so it will be across, and so I'll just go ahead and prune it out. Going up, here's a branch that's going backwards, as well as this one right here. So I would go ahead and prune both of those off because they're going to want to eventually go into the center. And then when you have a whole bunch of mix like this, I'd go ahead and start pruning some of these back ones off. And then these, where it's got a fork, I'll usually take the back one off and then I'll allow this fork to go more horizontal. And so I'm just really trying to clean up the branching as much as possible, trying to condense so many branches. Here's an example of a Franken plum. This is probably about 6 or so grafted plum varieties into one tree. And this tree is just always a mess every winter. As you can see, just look at all those various suckers on the branching going straight up. So it takes a lot of time getting those suckers out, but it's needed, and it'll actually help with the health of the tree. It'll help with the airflow. It'll help with disease prevention. And so that's really the main thing to look for. Some of these branches here as well, where they bend. So it was a nice horizontal branch, but then it began going vertical, and now it's actually bending into the center of the tree. So what I would do on something like this is I would just find a node probably closer to the horizontal portion. As you can see, maybe even down lower. Actually, here's a branch coming out horizontal. I would just cut that right above the branch, right above that branching node there, and then that would encourage this little branch here to go out more horizontal. And so if you've got room to go horizontal, having them go out as horizontal as possible is really the best move. I try to keep all my fruit trees where I can actually harvest the fruit on ground. There would be nothing worse than having to have a ladder to harvest your fruit every year. So trying to minimize the size of the fruit trees as well is very beneficial. But as you can see, pretty much all these fruit trees, these stone fruit, here's another, this is a Plueri, so it's a hybrid. As you can see, I've got a really nice open center, but a lot of the branching up near the top is really kind of out of control. So I really just need to thin a lot of those upper branches, and I'll usually want them to go more horizontal. So if they're going vertical like that, I'll cut them to a more horizontal branch, and then just allow that horizontal branch to take the lead. Here's a Santa Rosa plum here. This one's been in the ground for going on 10 years. It's just a very vertical grower, I've noticed. I try to prune this to a more horizontal shape every year. It's got a really nice open center I've been working on, but it just wants, it's a very upright grower, and so it's really hard to control that. And even when you prune it to a more horizontal branch, it just takes over eventually and goes vertical. So if that's the growing nature of your tree, you just have to maintain it as best as possible, and then just thin out some of those upper branches. So just to recap, the first thing that you'd want to do is to, with a new fruit tree, is to create an open center, and that will allow the airflow, the light, all that good stuff to come in. And then secondly, you just want to maintain that open vase or open center by removing any of the branches that want to go inside or backwards. You want to remove any water suckers. Those are the ones that are on the back end of any main branch that are going straight up. You want to take out any crossing branches, and then you want to remove any dead or diseased branches. So I hope these tips help you out. I've got my work cut out for me, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask below. I'll be more than happy to help you out. And once again, I thank you for stopping in. I thank you for checking out this video. Thank you for checking out the channel, and hope you have a great day. God bless. Take care.